So it's Friday, it's you hangout time, and as always, running late. So apologies if you try and tune in on time. Okay, so it's been a week or so since CodeGarden finished this year. So it only makes sense to do kind of a bit of a wrap up and kind of a post review of CodeGarden. So we don't have any guests today, so it's just going to be me doing some demos best as I can and kind of show off some of the fun and funky stuff that was shown in the keynote that Niels and the rest of the gang kind of demoed. But yeah, it was a really if you didn't attend CodeGarden this year, it's a shame. Hopefully you've managed to watch the CodeGarden keynote by now. If not, the link is I think stream.umbraco.org or something. Check that link out, and then you'll be able to find this year's keynote. Really recommend that you watch it because it's going to be a lot better demo that I'm going to try and do today. However, I'll try my best. With that kind of out the way, let's maybe jump into some demos. Let's see if I can actually do a screen share. Fingers crossed. Let me guess. I haven't got enough monitors. Looks like you can see my screen. Fantastic. Okay. So I've installed Umbraco 7.2 alpha and installed the Umbraco text starter kit. So in 7.2 alpha, in the keynote, one of the very exciting things once I log in is this new idea or property editor type called the grid. So if you may or may not remembered, there was a kind of a random or mystery screener or YouTube video tweeted from the Liquati guys or Liquati guys. So basically they demoed some fantastic ideas, and what this has done, the Umbraco core team have kind of talking to the Liquati guys, and the grid editor has come and it is making its way into the core. So let's take a look at that. So I've already added the new property type or data type or whatever you would like to call it to a text page. And I haven't modified the existing kind of document type and kind of removed things, but for now I've just added an extra tab, and on here I've added the new kind of grid, the grid type. So here it's probably best if we show you with a blank slate. So we go to the grid. Here I can then choose my kind of initial kind of page layout as such. I could choose that my grid or my content for this page is going to be a single kind of width column, or I might have one that's kind of a two column, but the main column or the left column being kind of the bulk of the width, this one here. Or I might want it the other way around, narrow column on the left and wide column on the right, or I might want a three-way equal columns. But for this example, I'm going to go and choose the single grid, and here we can add rows to our grid now. So if we can imagine we was building up a text page here, we can add something like a headline first, so we get an editor for this specific row. And we can kind of define editors for specific rows and kind of configure these options. But for now, let's just kind of roll with the defaults and see what we can do. So here, let's install in modules on, no, let's call it grid on you hangout. And so that's kind of that's going to be my page title, or my title for my page. So next I might want a single column. Oh, and in here is a rich text editor, so I can put some lipsum. I just need to grab some lipsum. Let's do bacon lipsum. And we'll just grab some paragraphs. Yeah, lovely. And we'll copy that. So this is just a normal rich text editor that you're kind of familiar with in kind of the normal rich text editor. So we've got embed, insert a macro, insert an image, a link, and so on and so on. But if we add, we can add a kind of another item to the row, or we can kind of switch this editor. So here we've got headline is the kind of like my number one, a quote, some copy, or rich text editor, which is this kind of editor that we've got currently, an image picker, a macro picker, and I believe this one is an embed or video picker, but I think is it an embed? Yeah, so we can put in something like a YouTube URL, youtube.com. I don't know, that one looks good enough. And we'll paste this in, and yes, we get the kind of embed URL. So I can then, I've not got a big enough screen here. I can then delete the row. At the minute, it doesn't make sense for me to have this video here. So I've got my kind of my header, my intro text, and then I might have an image or a quote. So let's add an image, and let's choose this lovely photo taken by Doug from last week's CodeGarden of the MVPs. So we can just put in an image caption, MVPs, high five in, if I can learn to spell. And then we can put in some kind of associated, I've accidentally added an empty one here. So this is the kind of the quote or rich text editor above the image. So I can delete this and go yes. So we can kind of align this image to the top of our kind of next row, which is kind of a 2-column split. So we've got an image or a quote on the left, and then some rich text editor copy on the right. And we'll take this bit copy. And then we could add 3 columns. So we might have some copy here, some headline. So we can, I don't know. I haven't got, well, so this rich text editor uses the normal kind of CSS styling that's available for all rich text editors. So I don't actually have a kind of a drop-down item for header or header 2 and things like that. But I could, I suppose, just go into the source code and we could change this to header 2 quickly for the time being and go OK. And we could put something else here, and again, we can kind of stack items in each of these rows. So in this case, we've got obviously 3 columns, and in each column, I can add multiple of these rich text editors, one after another. But I don't want to do that, so I'm going to say no. And let's just finish with a single column to kind of wrap it up as such. So this was demoed in the keynote, and it's part of 7.2 alpha. And as you can see, the possibilities and the power that it could give your content editors to kind of build out a layout or a grid using this kind of one property editor, which is called the grid property editor, which allows them to kind of nest child editors, so a headline editor for here, so we could kind of drag the order around as well, and put the rows in different orders, so we can drag this one above, but obviously it doesn't really make sense in this context. It would make sense that the header lives at the very top. Oh, and we'll drag you down one. So we get our header, intro copy, 2-column kind of image or a quote on the left, and some kind of more copy on the right, and then we've got a 3-column split, and then a kind of a wide column. So these, I've been told by the Loquati guys, so Antoine, kind of the main focus or developer behind this, that this is all kind of configurable. So we can actually add more kind of layouts or row layouts here, and we can kind of define in each type of layout what editor is available. So when I hover over this plus here, you can see that in this instance, I can see that all the editors are available. But say like the headline row, you can see I can only add one item, and it can only be the headline item. So you can define, as far as I'm aware, in JSON configuration, kind of the amount of items that a row can have, if you can kind of do a plus and kind of add more items, and then choose which editors are available. So the rich text editor, the image picker, the macro picker, the embed picker, and so on. And when Antoine showed this to me, yes, it's very, very exciting, and it looks like it's even possible to add further custom editors to this as well. So I could create a custom editor which was something else, and then add this to the available options when hovering over these icons here. So that's the grid in a very, very quick nutshell. I probably haven't done it justice, and you can watch the highlights in the keynote given by Niels, or you can watch the session by Antoine that's probably due to come out in the next few weeks, I would imagine, with the CodeGarden videos coming online. So that's the grid. So that's one kind of very, very, very nice thing that's coming in 7.2, and obviously this is an alpha, so you can download it today from our Umbraco and have a play and start getting used to it. So the next thing I want to show you, let's discard for now, is the query builder. So this was, so if we go to the layout, and we'll go to, oh, excuse me, the text page, and we'll see this new button here is Open Query Builder. So if we click this, we get a new dialog that allows us to help visually, or for someone who's maybe not so confident in building queries or knowing how to query their content or their structure of their site, an easy or visual way to kind of do so. So I can say I want everything, or I want text pages. So you can see as I changed the drop down of the dialog, you can see that the query updates, but also the kind of the example, the results that I'm going to get. So if I change it back to I want everything from my website, I get all the pages, including news, which obviously isn't a text page. But if I say I only want text pages, then you can see the results gets updated. And then we can say from my website, which is everything, so the entire website. Or we can kind of drill down and say I want everything from home. But obviously this is going to give me the exact same results, because that's also where the entire website is. So we can then apply where filters. So we can say where I want all my text pages from the home page, where the created date is after a selected date, and then we could put in a date filter, probably in what's today's date, 20th of the 6th, 2014, and then we can say order by then node name or name, and change it to ascending. Looks like maybe the where filter for date is maybe not quite working yet. So let's just change that, and we'll say where name contains the letter G, for example. So I want all text pages from the home node where the node name or the name of the node contains the letter G. So we can now see that we're only going to get 2 results, and it took about 2 milliseconds for that query to run. And that gives us current page.site, children, text page, which is the alias of the document type that they were querying, which is text pages, where the page is visible and the name contains the letter G, and then order it by its name or node name. So if we go and insert that, it gives us an example snippet. So it gives us a variable selection, and with that query, the exact same query that we've just seen, and it gives us an unordered list. So it just goes for each item in the selection or the query that we've just selected, output a basic list item with an anchor tag to the item's page or URL, along with the item's node name or name of the node. So this gives us people who are very new to Umbraco or who are not familiar with querying yet, a nice and easy way to kind of get started and kind of rapidly kind of see their queries and start to hack around with them. So this was basically an idea that spawned from the Umbraco retreat, which is where a mix of the core team, Umbraco core team, MVPs, and a few other people get invited the weekend before CodeGarden and get to discuss some ideas and hack around. And this was basically an idea that come up from that retreat. So the weekend before CodeGarden, this idea was made. The UI was obviously done. The kind of the implementation or the code underlying underneath has been done. So from idea to kind of in practice is gone fantastically well. So this is also in the alpha, and I would imagine there's more polish to come to this as time goes on, ready for the beta and final release of 7.2. So that's the query items. Next, I'm sure there was something else. I'm sure there was a third thing I had to remember in 7.2. Let's see if I can just refresh my memory just by skimming the back office. Doesn't seem like it, or not that I can remember off the top of my head. So just going back to the Lecoiti guys, unfortunately I didn't get a chance to see their session. So Antoine was actually talking at the same time as me. I was quite tempted to say to everyone who attended my session, let's pack up and let's just all move next door and watch Antoine with his grid. But we didn't, and so I'm really kind of looking forward to Antoine explaining the grid further in detail. But just by kind of me nosing around in Web Matrix in kind of this 7.2 alpha, so in Umbraco views property editors, there's a grid property editor, and with me just kind of nosing or sniffing around, I've noticed that there's 2 JavaScript or JSON configuration files. So we've got one that's grid editors config, so we can see that we've got the headline and then the icon, which was the coin, and then looks like you can excuse me, apply some styling, so we can apply the font size and font weight and the markup that it's going to produce when we kind of type into the editor. So I could change this to an H2 or an H3 or with some specific class. So we can also see the quotes along with the other editors that are available to us, the rich text editor, media, macro, and embed. And I would imagine it's possible to add our own custom editors here, specifying a view and an alias and such, because the views, I would imagine, here represent the editors subfolder here, embed, macro, media, rich text editor, and text string. So that's the editor's config JavaScript file, and then we've got the grid default config. This is looks a little bit more involved, but I think this is, as far as I'm aware, is the kind of the layouts that we was first presented. So we had the kind of the options of one massive column, a wide column and a skinny column, and a skinny column and a wide column, and a free column. So I think for each of these items, we then have the options of, so we can see it's a grid of 12 and the percentage is 100% wide. And then we can see that we've got different options. So this is the single column, so which is just allows a column of 12 and there's 100% width. And we can say there's an article row that we want to add into our layout. So we can say that this is a grid of 4 and it's 33%, so a skinny column on the left and a wide column on the right with this grid of 8 and 66.6%. And then we can see that we've got an allowed array here to kind of specify which editors are allowed in this specific column in the row. So on the skinny column on the left, we're only allowing a media picker or an image picker and a quote editor, and on the right, we're only allowing a rich text editor. Again, obviously, this is the reverse of the wide column and then the skinny column, and then the profile page is just a slightly skinny media picker and then a rich text editor on the right, and the headline is obviously one row, only allowing one editor, so we're specifying a max of 1, and we're only allowing the headline editor to be used. And obviously that goes on and on for all the different variations that are available. I think I've rambled enough on demos. I'm thinking that there might be a few questions, so let's skim back and take a look. So yeah, there's a few questions, so let's take some of these now. Okay, so Craig Cronin asks, it would be really good to control the layouts through permissions. Do you know if this is possible? Sorry, Craig, unfortunately I don't. Like I said, I didn't attend Antoine's session, so this would obviously be a good question for Antoine. But looking at how it's maybe structured quite now, probably not, because it's just a property editor. So if your content editor or editor can kind of access that node in the back office and make changes to that node, then I would say yes, they are also able to change the layout and add items to rows and columns and things like that. But it's probably a good idea or a good suggestion that maybe Antoine or the core team can listen to as a feature request in terms of allowing specific users to maybe only add specific items to the layout or the grid. So yeah, unfortunately I don't know the solution to that, Craig, but I'm guessing it's not there yet, but with a pull request or an item added to the issue tracker, that it probably could be done. But I won't say yes or no. Next question is from Lee Kelleher. So he asks, do you know where the name CodeGarden came from? He says, I've always meant to ask Niels. That I actually don't know either, I must admit, which I'm quite stumped. I would imagine CodeGarden, the name. Knowing Niels, I would imagine it would have been of alcohol-fueled one night and potentially come up with the idea after a discussion with Per or a few other colleagues or people that he was working with at the time. But I think that, yeah, it's a nice name, and I personally quite like it. I think it's just a nice and friendly name in terms of that we all get together and kind of hack away for 3-4 days, and we all get to meet up and have a social, really. But no, that's a good question, Lee, and I would be curious to know the answer too. So Niels, if you see this at some point, let us know where the name came from. So Michael has prompted me, yes, the third thing, or the third key thing that I forgot to show was content variations in Umbraco. I haven't got it probably set up. Let's have a look. No, unfortunately, I won't have time to kind of set up and go through it now, but I would highly recommend that you take a look at the keynote and get Niels and the gang to kind of talk you through the demonstration and kind of the use case of why you'd want content variations. But I thought this idea was very, very neat, allowing you to kind of show different content based on where a referrer had come in. So if they'd come in from a Google ad, maybe, for example, posting some jobs, then you could, when they land on the homepage, you could put the main item in the carousel, or the main article or widget or snippet or whatever, what kind of focuses the content around applying for a job, because that's where they've come in and from. But obviously there's various different ways, and it's as far as Shannon explained it to me, I think it's provider based, maybe, I don't know. So it means you can kind of easily extend it and kind of create your own kind of custom rules for content variations, which is very, very exciting. I probably haven't done it justice, so like I said, take a look at the keynote, and I'm sure you'll get very excited. Okay, so Michael, I'm sorry, I'm going to try and pronounce your last name. So Michael Hinsgaard, he's just informed me that CodeGarden is actually a misspelling. It was supposed to be like kindergarten, just with code. Oh, very interesting. I never knew that. So thank you very much, Michael. So now we all know where the name CodeGarden has come from. So I've got one more final question before I wrap up, and this one is from Craig Cronin, and he asks, the UK festival seems to be getting really popular. Do you think they might extend this over 2 days at some point? Obviously, I work at the Cogworks, Craig, and obviously alongside Adam, who does most of the kind of the organising around this. We are currently in the throes of planning this, but this year I wouldn't expect it to be over 2 days. Yes, the festival has grown over years and has become really popular. However, I still think it's at the stage where it's more beneficial at the minute for it to be a one-day mini conference, or one-day mini get-together in terms of like a show and tell type thing. But that doesn't mean in the future that it may not grow to more days. So yes, that's the UK festival. So we are probably need to announce dates soonish, but it's most likely going to be around about the same time of year as always, towards the end of October, early part of November. But obviously, as soon as we have more details, we will let you all know, and then obviously you can book time off with work, flights, accommodation, travel, or anything else that's required. So I think that's it for today. Hopefully, like I said, I've done the Umbraco team and everyone else who's kind of put in these kind of contributions into 7.2 alpha and all this exciting stuff that is, coming up. Hopefully I've done them justice, and we look forward to kind of seeing where 7.2 goes with the grid and content variations. And I look forward to maybe the next 6 to 8 months. I think it's going to be a very exciting time. So until next time, thanks for watching, and I will see you all very, very soon. Thank you very much. Bye.